On the edge of a quiet village surrounded by tall mountains, there lived a young man named Rayan. He was not the strongest nor the fastest in his village, and often people overlooked him when it came to important tasks. He worked hard every day on his family's small farm, helping his parents tend to the crops and animals, but deep inside, he always carried a doubt that he was not capable of doing anything great. Whenever challenges came, he would quietly step back, letting others take the lead, convincing himself that he didn't have what it takes. One day, the village was struck with a crisis. A terrible storm broke out, stronger than anyone had seen in years. The winds howled, trees cracked and fell, and the river swelled until it overflowed, flooding homes and farms. In the chaos, people scrambled to save what they could. Children cried, animals ran loose, and fear gripped every heart. When the storm finally subsided, the destruction it left behind was heartbreaking. Houses had collapsed, food supplies were washed away, and the villagers stood helpless, staring at the devastation. The elders gathered the next morning to discuss what must be done. The nearest town had resources, but it was across the mountains, and the path was long, dangerous, and nearly impassable after the storm. The villagers knew that someone had to make the journey, but no one was willing to step forward. The fear of failure and exhaustion weighed heavily on them all. Rayan stood at the back, listening silently. His heart pounded. He felt an inner pull, a whisper that told him this was his chance. Yet his doubt immediately rose like a shadow. You are not strong enough. You will fail. Others are better suited. He wanted to dismiss the thought, but then he looked around at the faces of the villagers, tired mothers clutching hungry children, fathers staring hopelessly at broken homes, and elders who had lost their strength to age. If no one tried, the village would suffer. That night, Rayan could not sleep. He walked outside, gazing at the broken fields under the moonlight. He clenched his fists and thought, what if I fail? Then another thought struck him like lightning. But what if I succeed? What if I'm stronger than I believe? For the first time, he chose not to listen to his doubts. He went to the elders and offered himself for the journey. The next morning, he set out with a small bag of food, a walking stick, and the prayers of his people. The mountain path was cruel, muddy, slippery, and blocked with fallen trees. At times, the cold wind made his body ache, and hunger gnawed at his stomach. Each step felt heavier than the last, but Rayan remembered the faces of the children back home. He thought about his parents who had always worked hard despite their struggles, and with every thought he told himself, I cannot stop. I must keep going. Halfway through the journey, he reached a river that had swollen dangerously. The bridge was broken, swept away by the storm. His heart nearly sank, and for a moment the voice of doubt returned. This is impossible. You should turn back. But then he remembered the purpose of his journey. Looking around, he found large branches and vines. With trembling hands, he built a makeshift raft. It was risky, and the current was strong, but he pushed forward, clutching the raft as the water pulled at him. His body screamed with exhaustion, but his spirit refused to give up. After what felt like hours, he finally reached the other side, soaked and shivering, but alive. He pressed on, climbing rocky trails and pushing through dense forests. His feet bled, his shoulders ached, and his voice grew hoarse from calling out for help. At times, he almost collapsed from fatigue, but whenever he felt he could go no further, he whispered to himself, never doubt your strength. You are stronger than you know. That single thought kept him moving when his body wanted to quit. At last, after days of struggle, Rayan reached the nearest town. The people there welcomed him, amazed at his endurance. When he told them of his village's plight, they quickly gathered food, medicine, and supplies. Rayan, though weary, insisted on leading them back. Together, they returned over the mountains, carrying hope with them. When Rayan finally stepped back into his village, he was unrecognizable, not because his appearance had changed, but because his spirit radiated strength. The villagers cheered and wept as they received the supplies. Mothers hugged their children with relief, and fathers clasped Rayan's shoulders with gratitude. The elders looked at him with pride and said, You have shown us that strength is not measured by muscle or size, but by courage, and determination. You are the proof that we are stronger than we think. From that day on, Rayan was no longer the young man who doubted himself. He became a symbol of courage for the entire village. Whenever someone felt weak or incapable, they remembered Rayan's journey and the lesson it carried. Strength lies not in what we see, but in what we believe. Years later, when Rayan grew older, he often told children the story of that journey. They would listen with wide eyes as he spoke of the storm, the broken bridge, and the mountains. But he always ended with the same words. The greatest battle is not against the mountains, rivers, or storms. It is against your own doubt. The moment you stop doubting yourself, you unleash a strength greater than you can imagine. Never doubt your strength because it is always there waiting for you to believe. The story of Rayan spread beyond the village, inspiring others who heard it. Travelers who passed through would share his tale in distant places, and soon it became a legend of hope. People who were ready to give up on their dreams found courage after hearing of Rayan's journey. Some pursued education despite poverty, some built businesses despite failure, and some faced their fears despite uncertainty. They all carried the same message in their hearts. Never doubt your strength. In truth, Rayan was not extraordinary. He was an ordinary man who dared to push beyond his doubts. And that is what made his story timeless. It reminded everyone that no matter how small or weak you may feel, there is a strength within you waiting to rise when you believe in yourself. And so in a world where storms will always come, mountains will always stand tall, and rivers will always flow fast, the story of Rayan continues to echo. Strength is not about never falling, but about rising every time you think you cannot. Never doubt your strength, for it has the power to change not just your life, but the lives of everyone who believes in you.